Hello, everyone. My name is Bennett, and for those of you who don't know, my roommates John, Liam, and Nick, and my neighbor Maddie were all on Icarus Flight 227. It's the one from Los Angeles to London that went down in the Atlantic with no survivors, or so we thought. But I've been able to pick up on a signal coming from somewhere in the Atlantic, and it's them. My roommates are making a podcast for their fellow survivors, and I've been able to pick up on it, and I can't tell where it's coming from, so I figured I'd put it out on our podcast network, and then we can together crowdsource and try to figure out where it's coming from and save them. So here is their podcast.
Hello, fellow survivors. My name is John, and this is a weekly podcast where we discuss what is happening on the island. As you all are aware, we survived. We did it. We survived a terrible tragedy, a plane crash. We were all on Icarus Flight 227, I believe it was. And it crashed over the Atlantic Ocean. We were going to London, and we're stuck on this island. It's been about a couple days, and we figured that there needs to be people to record what is happening on this island. To provide some sense of comfort, and I hope that we can be a voice in these hard times as like a beacon of light, and hopefully we're going to get through this.
I think that's a great point, John. Aww. Starting today is the rest of our life.
Today's the first day of the rest of our lives.
Yeah, we can only go up from here.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is John Chapman, and I'm joined today by my other co-hosts. Why don't you introduce yourselves?
My name is Maddie, and I would also like to add that we are a part of history being made. We will be known as the Icarus survivors, and therefore we want to document every happenstance, every notable instance on this island for history.
Nicholas Carroll. I am a writer, comic, and an influencer of sorts, and I'm here to make your day as often as I can.
How are you an influencer?
How am I an influencer? Well, I'm currently broadcasting a podcast on an island. I'm influencing people's thoughts. That's how that word works, right?
Yeah, you are. We're all.
No, we're
I think we're all influencers, John.
Okay,
the first 2 minutes we established ourselves as influencers. I think we're doing a good job.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So we're on this island. It's a tropical island. We don't know much about it. We've only been here for a couple days, and the first part of this experience has been coping with it. There was a lot of chaos.
Yeah, crashing was...
You could call that chaos.
Yeah, it was a wild... I've never done it before. This is my first time.
You've never been in a plane crash?
No, I haven't. This is my first time, so I got to say it was a little bit different than I've seen in the movies.
Well, hang on. Have you been in a plethora of plane crashes in your time, John?
I've never been in a plane crash, but it's funny to say I've never been in a plane crash. Well, never.
I haven't. It's just a fact.
That's true. Okay, I'm sorry for gaslighting you.
Anyway, continue, Nick.
Yes, thank you. Well, as I was saying, it looks a lot different than it was. And I've seen it in the movies before. You watch shows like Lost, and it looks traumatic, and then you go through the actual thing, and it's more than just visual and sound. Like, you're actually there. There's a tactile element to it, and
you think it's going to be easy to breathe through the oxygen masks they provide, but it's a lot harder. Like, I found myself wishing the entire time, I really wish that I would not have been listening to Rihanna during the pre-flight instructional show.
Why were you... I guess I kind of ignored that show. Once you've seen it once, you don't need to see it again.
I
see it every night when I go to bed now, John.
Well, I can understand how this trauma... Well, let's jump off the trauma. I personally blacked out.
Oh, really?
I didn't experience it.
That's pretty fortunate.
Yeah.
I think we can all agree that we had our own experiences with the plane crash, but what's important is that we're all here today. We're all survivors. And
starting the rest of our life.
Yes, and we are all here to tell our own tales. So, Nick, if you want to continue with your experience, by all means, please.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say, when things started looking a little rough, I told myself it was turbulence, and the pilot told us it was turbulence, and then I continued to think it was turbulence for a while after the pilot stopped telling us it was turbulence.
Wait, wasn't this your first flight?
Yes, it was. So I really had no context for what the process should look like.
And how'd you go into that? Were you nervous at all? Or?
Well, I was horrified. I thought I was going to crash. I mean, and I'm 0 for 1 right now, John, as far as flying goes.
Those aren't good. It's not a good record.
It's not a good record. But, beginning the rest of our lives, I'm not going to let this tarnish my opinion and viewpoint of what flying might be like. So I look forward to doing it again someday.
Well, I think we have a couple segments lined up for this first episode, just to kind of explain what we're doing. I mean, what we've seen, what we've experienced. So we're gonna do our first segment, and it's called "What Have You Noticed?"
What have you noticed? Would you like to go first on this one?
Yeah, I would say that thus far I have noticed that we have all been coping with our new environment by forming various groups. We were all lucky that we knew each other prior to the crash, so we have kind of formed our own gathering of people per se, and I certainly feel safer sleeping by a group at night. So I'm counting my blessings in that sense. What have you noticed so far, John?
I've noticed that seagulls eat people meat.
I
just didn't. I mean, it was just shock. I mean, okay, let's be raw. You guys ready to be raw for a second?
Yeah, John.
Do you want to
be raw?
You want to
be raw? We are a news outlet. Be raw, John.
People died on this plane. There's a lot of bodies, and the sequels. I was just trying to enjoy my first morning sleeping in paradise, sleeping on the beach, and I walked by a seagull eating a person's back.
Well, what I noticed was the texture of the sand is really nice. As someone who spent most of his life at very, very coarse sanded beaches, either pebbly or one might say large grain sand, it was a really nice change of pace to suddenly be at this smooth, sandy island.
Right. Nick, you are absolutely right. The sand is very smooth. And as someone who grew up in a small town landlocked most of her life, I must say listening to the sound of rolling waves going to sleep, it's very comforting.
Yeah. I mean, it's honestly, if we were to crash anywhere, this is the best place
This is the best possible scenario for a plane crash. So I'm counting my blessings. Do you have anything to add, John?
About the sand?
Or anything you notice?
Yeah.
Else?
I've noticed that seagulls have memories. There's this one seagull that I threw something. I mean, he was in my territory. He was near my little hut that we've made, near our hut. Sorry,
that we made together.
We made together out of plain parts and palm fronds, and it was staring at me, and I threw a shit at it. 20 minutes later, that same seagull flew over me and landed a big one right on my head.
So wait, you had been watching that exact seagull for 20 minutes?
No.
John, wasn't this while we were all gathering food, while we all agreed that we would go to different ends of the island to collect food so that we can continue sustaining ourselves?
John, we lost a handful of people during that foray into the forest when the wild boar came out of nowhere, and you were standing on the beach watching a singular seagull?
Remember Garrett? The 13-year-old boy we took under our wing?
Garrett's gone.
Okay,
John.
I know Garrett's gone, and here's the thing. I'm sorry I wasn't there. When you see a seagull chow down on the back of a human, that makes you be a little bit distrustful of them. And then there was a seagull outside a door, and I just thought...
I'm sorry, you saw a seagull chow down on an already dead human. John, do you know what it's like to watch a leopard take the life from a 13-year-old, very
Garrett
much living,
was alive,
breathing
John.
boy, John? We both saw that with our own eyes, and you're over here complaining about a seagull that has happened to eat an already dead person.
I protected us. Simple as that, period. I protected us. And I'm not going to sit here, listen to you chastise a decision that was made for our safety.
Our safety.
You know what I've noticed?
Our safety.
You know what I've noticed?
What have
What
you
have you
noticed,
noticed,
John?
John?
Friends that are just turning their back on someone. I'm here with my arms outstretched, waiting for a hug.
Okay, you know what? Obviously, I think it's unfair for us to assume that your intention here was to let what happened to Garrett happen to Garrett.
You're right. You're right. You were not the large jungle cat that took the life from Garrett. John, that was unfair of me to project that onto you.
Yeah. So, I think we can all agree that things have been a little tense.
Yes.
My guess is because of the crash.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we all need to give each other a little bit of slack. And this goes out to everyone.
You're right.
This goes out to everyone. You know, if someone looks a little stressed or they're crying, it's probably because of the crash. If someone looks sad or bewildered, it is likely because of the crash. And I think we just need to realize that the crash has gotten all of us to an extent.
Right. And, I think while this could easily bring out the worst in all of us, I think we can use it as an opportunity to promote the best in all of us.
And that is why we are doing this podcast.
Yes.
Let's just circle it back to
Exactly
we are
why.
here to make changes in our island society.
Absolutely.
Been here 3 days and it's just been a lot of crying, a lot of running. People hoarded the booze.
Well, the booze are gone now, John.
The booze is gone. I mean, that's another thing I noticed. A lot of the booze is gone. We're not rationing the food. There's just like a lot of, I think we need to start like just putting our bootstraps up and just like start organizing.
I think what John is trying to say is that while it is hard to maintain our rations, it really is a group effort of pooling all of our resources and really, I guess, divvying them out in a way that ensures survival for as long as possible. Because while we know that we will be saved from this island, rest assured we will be okay.
They're coming for us.
They are coming for
They
us.
are
Yes,
coming for
right
us.
you are, Nick. But we will have to, as John said, pull up our bootstraps, I believe, to get through these trying times.
Absolutely. I think now it's time to address the person who isn't here with us. And I know a lot of people have been talking about this, but an interesting about this plane crash is that an entire section of the plane is missing.
We lost, apparently in the crash, the plane split during its descent, and the business class, as well as the pilot's cockpit, seems to have been taken by the maelstrom of the event.
It's well, the reason why we're talking about it is because like one of our friends was on the business class,
Yeah.
and honestly, it doesn't bother me that much.
His name is, for anyone, I mean, he's likely gone, but if anyone does hear of a Liam Sorahan, we are desperately looking for him. He is...
I wouldn't say desperate.
No, he is a
We are
housemate
actively searching for him.
No, we're not.
Why?
If you see Liam, we would very much like to bring him to our part of the island. So if you see of or hear of a Liam, very tall gentleman, he wears a lot of black. Just please.
He has a giant scar.
Wait, he does?
No.
Where?
No, he doesn't have a scar. I'm just trying
Well,
to...
then, John, why would you?
John, why are you
Okay.
being weird about
Trying to-
this? Why are you being weird about this?
He took... Okay, do you not remember when we were at the gate and the Icarus flight attendant offered us like one seat and like upgraded? She's like, one of you can go to business class. And he immediately took it. He immediately said, I'm a businessman. Let me take that.
Well,
And I was like, we didn't even have a discussion.
John, I very clearly you remember saying, Liam, you should take the front seat. By all means, you've been going through a hard time. Liam, please take this seat. No, Liam, I insist, take the first class ticket.
That was a courtesy. That's like he knew that was bullshit. That's a courtesy thing you say. Like, no, I don't want to sit in the passenger seat. No, I don't want It was a courtesy, and he obviously did not do what a real friend should do and be like, no.
What did you think would happen when you offered the ticket? What did you think the outcome was going to be, John?
They'd be like, dude, you've had such a hard year, you take it.
Well, he didn't do that. That's a fair point.
He didn't do that. He's a little selfish. Now he's missing. And
well,
I think the point being, if you see a tall man with a black shirt named Liam, that is what he was last seen in, who, has the aura of a man who is just sitting in first class, please let us know.
And from a more universally useful perspective, Liam, if found, probably has a good idea at where the business class section of the plane is, which would replenish our Boo stores significantly. So,
but more importantly, bring our loved ones back to us. I think is what Nick and John are trying to communicate. Of course.
And I'm gonna do a call to arms on the island. If you see any seagulls, drive them out. I don't trust them, those seagulls. Anyways, that's been the first episode of. We didn't even discuss what should we call this.
Sandy Surprise.
That's an option.
Okay, well, we're just brainstorming. What do you have something better?
I was thinking more of something kind of to the point, the Icarus Archives.
Oh, that's really good.
That's a good name. All right. This has been the first episode of Icarus Archives. This is John.
This is Maddie.
What about Crashed Away?
No, that's a dumb name.
You get it, right? Like, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's a pun.
Nick, we all know that you love Tom Hanks.
Castaway?
Yes.
The movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's great.
This is the first episode of Crashed Away.
Yes.
Well, I thought it was the Icarus Archives.
We don't know what it is. It's one of those two.
I think the viewers know which one it is.
We don't even have viewers yet. You mean listeners?
Maybe.
All right.
Whoever's out there, please cast your votes so that we know that the Icarus Archives is the clear choice for what this podcast will be called. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
That's the end of their signal. From what it sounds like, as long as they're okay, they'll keep making podcasts, and I should be able to keep passing them on to you. So hopefully you'll hear from me next week, and we can keep on listening and keep on trying to figure out where their messages are coming from. Also, if anyone's interested in buying a tombstone for a John born in 1996, a Nick born in 94, or a Maddie born in 97, let me know. I guess I have to finish Liam's. Okay, until next week, this has been Crashed Away.